Sorry.
Really? We're starting now.
Who's that from?
Well,
Where are you?
I'm going to sit there with Jeff and share with Jeff. Let's begin.
Jane. Hello.
Hi, Jane.
My
Hi,
boot-
Jane.
Hello. My
Look
boot
at her.
in my car wouldn't open. And because it's buttons.
And that's why Chris couldn't fit in. She couldn't put him in the boot.
No.
Oh, poor Chris.
He's at soccer with his boys.
Sorry.
But I was packing my
Sunday's
car
really-
with all these boxes and couldn't open the boot up. Anyway, it's all packed up in the car.
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll open with the Lord's Prayer, but let's do this song first.
Brother, let me be your soldier. Let me be as Christ to you. Pray that I might have your grace to let you be my servant We are pilgrims on a journey. We are brothers on the road. We are here to help each other walk the mile and bear the load. I will weep when you are weeping. When you laugh, I'll laugh with you. I will share your joy and sorrow till we sing this journey through. When we sing to God in heaven, we shall find such harmony. All we know together, our love Christ's love and agony. Brother, let me be your servant. Let me be as Christ to you. Pray that I might have the grace to let you be my servant too.
Won't stand, but let's just say the Lord's Prayer together. Our Father, who art in the heavens, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, as in heaven, so upon the earth. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts, as we also forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever. Amen. So we're coming to a really interesting part. I mean, everything's interesting in it, but we're just coming to an interesting part. We've just been looking at going over the first two stages that most of us go through when we cross over into the afterlife. Most of us go through these two stages. The only reason we wouldn't
is if we've done such good work here on earth, we're ready to just go straight before the presence of God.
So you'll go there.
Well, probably many of you will probably get there before me, and I mean that spiritually. I mean, I don't mean physically. I mean, for sure, because hopefully we have a long life. We all need it. I can use as much as I can get.
Yes.
Yeah. But we've got 1 or 2 paragraphs to go. I think you did a great job reading last time, Jane, if you wanted to keep going. I think, are we up to
the reason.
Yep.
Yeah.
Do you want to read a sentence or two before it, just so we're kind of contextual?
So page 33. Yeah.
Like it boils down to, or whatever you think.
Okay, yeah. It boils down to the same thing, though, and makes no difference whether you say that we suffer punishments because of our evil deeds in the world, or that we suffer punishments because of our evil deeds in the other life. Because after death, we all return to our life, which means that we are involved in the same kinds of evil. This is because our nature is determined by the kind of physical life we live. Page 33.
Page 33, yeah.
The reason they are punished is that fear of punishment is the only means of taming their evils in that state. Encouragement does not work anymore, or teaching of fear of the law or fear of their reputation, because they are acting from their nature, which cannot be compelled or broken by anything but punishments.
I think we see that here on earth too, don't we? I mean, we have prisons because we believe in reform. We believe that people can change, but sometimes they've got to come to the end of themselves, which usually, some form of punishment where you're restricted is necessary to sort of come to the end of yourself and make you start to think of others. But I mean, this word punishment too can be a real triggering word, because God is love and there's nothing punitive about God. Nothing. God doesn't punish, but he has set up a perfect system where our evil contains its own punishment. Where if we're going to do evil, it has ramifications, or sowing and reaping, and this gets us in trouble with the world. Oh, what kind of a God of love?
Yes. Blame God.
Yeah, it can't be. What kind of God is this that you worship? Because there's judgment and there's a hell, and
Well, if they're speeding, and they kill themselves, and the families go, well, why did God let them die? Well, that's because everybody knows that you don't speed. So it's unfortunate, but that's just.
Or another case where they're drinking and they might not even be speeding, but they're drinking while driving, and they've lost all ability to be rational and cause people harm. I mean, it's tragic. But this is one of the things I really love and appreciate about the new church, is that when you get a right understanding of what's really going on, it's easy to keep your heart in God. You don't see God as punitive, but there has to be consequences for our actions. This is why I suppose we took away the death penalty, because we do believe there's something in us that believes people can change. But the death penalty is very final, isn't it? It's saying, no, you've gone too far. Well, let's just keep all that in mind. It's important to keep in mind that hell is the mercy of God. It's God saying, here is the freedom for you to find your way without me. And when you put enough of those people together, that's what. All right, let's keep that in. Thanks, thank you.
Good spirits are never punished, though, even though they have done bad things in the world. This is because their evils do not come back. I have also been granted a knowledge that their evils are of a different kind or nature. They do not stem from any deliberate resistance to what is true, and they are not from any evil heart, except the one they acquired by heredity from their parents, which blind pleasure drove them into when they were involved in outward concerns separated from inner ones.
What do you think of that? I mean, that's a very liberating thought, isn't it? That we all have hereditary urges. The Adam and Eve, we got it in our DNA sort of. And we've all known that. But what Swedenborg was shown here is that those things we're not judged. We're in terms of how sowing and reaping works, we're not judged for those things. As long as there is seen to be some sort of effort within ourselves to try and overcome, if you've inherited something, I
It's
mean,
a relief.
it is a relief, isn't it?
Yes.
It's a huge relief. That I love the way Paul says it in Romans 7. He says, I find two natures at work in me. He says, one is the part of me that wants to do God and do good. Then there's the other part of me that just keeps doing the stuff I don't want to do. Who will deliver me from this wretched body, Paul says. And that ends Romans 7. Then he says, thanks be to Jesus Christ, who the spirit of life in Christ Jesus has set me free from the spirit of death. So there is a receiving of this newness and life that is what actually saves us. And so therefore it makes sense that the Lord is not actually looking at our life and saying, well, you're in trouble for this and you're in trouble for that. It's about the distance traveled. It's always the distance traveled. And Swedenborg says, but you can, in the end of the day, do you say someone, went to a hell because they did evil, or it's because they won't stop doing evil? So it's the same thing. It's the same thing. So the key here is not that we've made mistakes. It's are we learning from them, and are we asking the Lord for His strength to actually change? I think that's what would you say that was?
A relief.
A huge relief. A huge relief. Yeah.
It's like it always comes back to the willingness, isn't it, with people? Like
The
sometimes,
tension is big, isn't it?
yeah, of going, because the paradox is that, yes, we can change, but we need the Lord's help to do that change. So if one has the willingness, like they say, but the spirit is willing, it says that in the Bible, doesn't it?
Mhm.
But the flesh is weak.
Mhm.
So that's that battle
That's a battle.
between, that, keeps happening, but it still comes back to us at the end of the day, how Lord
The
set
end
it
of
up
the
to make
day-
that choice.
The end of the day, the Lord did not fail to do His mission,
No.
including the cross.
Yeah.
He did not fail to redeem the human race. Right, but that doesn't mean we are saved. There is a difference between redemption and salvation. Salvation is us pursuing the power of that redemption. But again, it's fascinating to remind ourselves the Lord needs our willingness. He won't violate our willingness. Do you know what I mean? That's very important. He wants to, because He loves us. He wants to say, let me fix you, but He won't violate our lack of willingness is what I'm saying. He won't violate so what you said again, you said it comes down to us because
It
there's,
still comes back to us to make that choice again, whether we choose to let God in,
right.
where they say, well, the spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak. So what's blocking out a lot of the time? It is the flesh or the world or the minimizing or the justifications or the whatever it is. Yeah.
That's another thing that really helped me too,
Mm.
is that flesh is actually good. God made it
Yes.
and it's good.
Yes.
What I think what we're getting is a flesh nature.
Yes.
Like there's an order. God's made an order.
Yeah.
And you look at the animal kingdom, there's an order there. No one would attribute evil to like a lion if it kills and eats. That's its nature. That's its but with and so our flesh has an order to it, but there's a flesh nature. Do you want to come join us, Dr. Nola? Which to me, the best explanation is just selfishness. Evil is just pure selfishness. You're not considering the other. And I love the way the Lord resolved all that by saying, love the Lord God is the greatest commandment. And the second one is very much like it. Love each other. Consider one another. That's really what He's saying. Selfish nature won't do that. It won't consider each other. Any other thoughts, comments?
I was just thinking, people use that as hearing that may use that as an excuse, as you're saying, oh, well, my parents have handed that on to me. So, you still have to
resist.
Resist it. And,
Dr. Noel, we're talking about hereditary traits or evils that we've inherited versus the ones we've carved out for ourselves. the ones
Okay.
we've pursued and developed an appetite for,
Mhm.
and how there's a different, God looks at the hereditary ones differently. We're not judged by them, but as long as we're making efforts to try and overcome those hereditary, the things that we've inherited, that's the important part.
Yeah, okay.
But if you go and choose to do something evil, there's an intention there, isn't there? There's a willfulness.
I think so, and I think it's being able to see that, you know, like a lot of people can be caught up in those things, but they don't really see what they're doing, you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So there's like a, you know, but once you see something, you know what I mean? It's like that shift for people. Then there's no one seeing that, and then you go on to keep doing what you're doing after you see that sin or that evil. Then that's the
I love it.
Yeah.
Renee and I have been meditating a lot lately on presence versus pattern.
Mm.
We're such habitual creatures, and we just go in autopilot
yes.
and don't even really think or consider. But love for the neighbor is considering.
Yeah.
And so when you have presence, when you're in the now, you're in God, you're reflecting on yourself, you're reflecting on others, you're thinking, what can I do to help them and serve them? What are they going through? How would I be if I was in those shoes? What can I do? So when you're in presence, you're breaking these patterns. But as soon as you lose presence, you just go into this kind of automaton again. And that sort of automated behavior always leads to some harm.
Bit like the influencers that are on the TV now, you know, the people that are
Social
influencers.
media influencers.
Yes, I think they're very dangerous
Yeah.
because they're
Yes.
so hyped up
Mm.
and they create this image that is just really false.
Yeah.
Right. And then so many thousand followers that follow it.
Just
You know, it's a bit
without
like
thinking.
it's like another alcohol addiction. These influencers, you know, and a lot of them end up dead. If you've been watching the pattern, well,
Yeah.
these influencers die
Yes.
quite young in all sorts of things, and you know, I go, oh well, another one gone.
But you know, the Lord did. He said the Lord looked out, and I don't think there's any difference. Just he looked out over creation. He said, "There's sheep without shepherds."
Yeah, exactly.
And so these influences are stepping into that vacuum.
Mm.
Just
And
very.
they're making money out of it as well. See, so that keeps them in the spot. They're making lots of money by being an influencer. So just that part of the new generation that's out there that we've got to worry about raising children. Big time.
We're going to try and help children understand, our younger generation understand the dangers.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's another thing that that has really affected me. Selfishness or evil, whatever word you want to use, when you first engage in it, indulge in it, it's a seed. Just like good is, or charity, it's a seed. And as a seed, and you put it in to the mind and the heart, you're not really seeing the fruit. It takes a long time for that behavior or those choices to manifest their consequences. And this is where wisdom comes in, and we've got to teach our younger children, look, you might think it's harmless. In fact, you've dibbled and dabbled in whatever. Where's the harm? Because you haven't tasted the fruit of that. It's still in seed form. And it's the same with good. You know, we do good, and it's many years later we look back and say, I feel the fruit of that good I've done, but it wasn't there when I was doing. I was
So I
initially.
don't think it's even young people. We were having dinner last night with a couple of young people, and they were talking about their parents. And they said, you know, they're just, you know, through the lunchtime they'll stop and have a drink, and then 3 o'clock they've got to stop for drinks.
Very Italian.
And they were like, no. And
No.
and she was saying, you know, I said, Mum, you know, you're almost an alcoholic. No. She said her mother died of dementia, and I'm going to be looking after my mother with dementia. So it's not just young people. Old people are making choices that because they don't think it through. So I think we've got 2 generations there that.
Well, you could say, Jewel, that's the fruit again, isn't it? If they practice a certain life earlier on, it's very hard
I
to
don't think
stop.
they did it earlier on. I think they picked it up as they got older, and you know the kids leave home, and something fills that void, and alcohol can be that spot.
Well, there you go. So there's still a connection. You know, when we were talking just a Sunday gone about the Lord as our strength, how important it is in our struggle to make the Lord our refuge. it is very easy to just, I'll just put a movie on and zone out,
Mm.
or I'll go and read a paper, or I'll go play some sport, I'll go, there's nothing wrong with any of those things, but when you use them as a refuge, later on, something worse comes in. And I think that's maybe a bit of the pattern of what you're saying.
That's what she was saying last night. They're really worried. Men can't talk to them, and a lot of people have got dementia because of the use of alcohol. So it's not just young people.
I think it's far better practice.
In a sense, all of that becomes the
But
idol.
images on social media are people with a drink in their hand. So I think, you're being conditioned or brainwashed for that to be normalized.
Having a trouble, this will fix it.
Yeah.
She'll be right, mate.
Or it's even the way to socialise. It's like,
It is a way. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It is a way to socialise, because when we went into the restaurant last night, they immediately asked you, what would you like to drink, and we went, we'll just have water, and they went, the station's there, and then we just had one.
make it worse.
Yeah, it's sort of like there's a role that the restaurants run as well. Keep sending people up to drink more. So
Oh yeah.
we're out there.
Their money. Yeah.
Remember the Western, the Star or something?
Lone Star.
Lone Star.
Lone Star.
All the nuts you could eat.
Yes.
All over the floor.
All over the floor.
Yeah, but there's a strategy there. Them things make you thirsty.
Yes,
Oh,
Free. Eat as many nuts as you want.
Wow.
That was a
didn't know
business.
that.
That was a business plan. That was a strategy. Get them
And
up.
not only that, they fill you up too as well, so you're not eating as much.
So your little steak for $30 isn't so bad. You go, oh, that fills me.
All the nuts have filled me up
but
now.
apparently also gambling in the where they've got the machines. They also have scientists. We watched something on telly one night. They have the scientists there, and they work the colours that become addictive
Right.
and the sounds that make it addictive. McDonald's also have music on that makes people eat more. So
The red and the yellow in McDonald's stimulates the eating.
Yeah. So there's a lot of strategies.
And they're putting things in movies to make people drink coffee and alcohol. And someone was running through a movie, the first 5 minutes of a movie. It had someone walking in with a coffee cup. They had a coffee machine in the background with another coffee cup somewhere else in the kitchen. Like, you got so bombarded with it in like 5 minutes of it. And the same with alcohol.
Not even subliminal anymore, is it?
Well, that's it, I suppose. No, it's not. It's right in your face, isn't it? And you're not picking it up, though.
I love the way Scripture says, restoring the ancient pathway. So Renee, you and I were talking about how really what we should be doing is we've had our meal, lunch, go for a little walk. It's supposed to be the best way.
Yes.
And as soon as you step outside, you change your state,
Yes.
smell the fresh air, see the sun, and you would get a bit of a lift.
Yeah.
And you would feel angelic presences, and you get addicted to that.
Yes.
The body would release dopamine, you get addicted to it. Of course, opening a bottle of alcohol and having it at lunchtime would be equally, if not more, addictive. But it's just about realizing the danger and going, well, if I do this instead of that, this one's going to end up, I'll be just as satisfied, but healthy, where this one's going to control my life and ultimately.
It is a struggle, I reckon. It's a struggle for everyone, because you've got social media, you've got it everywhere. You're really going to have to be really focused to stay. It also,
So where are the ancients telling us, you've eaten, go for a walk? That's the best thing, and you won't feel like you'll feel
I hate
satiated.
walking. I hate walking.
like
I'd rather work than
love
walk.
Work.
Walking.
Yeah.
I love
Well, you could, whatever works for you, Jill. Like, it could be sit in that garden space you're telling me you're making.
Yeah.
You're making that garden space. After a meal, I always go and sit in that space for a little bit.
or painting.
There you go, mate. You mean paint a house or artwork?
Painting a house, no.
Yeah.
We know what she's going to be doing. You're going to have dozens of coats of paint on your house. All right. Well, could we go around that way? Would you read a little bit for us? We'll go that
Do
way.
you remember where we're up to?
We're at last paragraph on page 33.
Every individual?
Yeah.
Yep. Every individual comes to the community where where her or his spirit was in the world. Each of us, as to spirit, is actually united to some community, either heavenly or hellish. Evil people to hellish communities, and good people to heavenly ones.
That's huge.
Isn't it amazing?
I love it.
That's huge.
Yes.
Good.
Because
That's cool.
in addition to what Jill was saying, it's not just the environment in which we live, but once you sign up for a certain behavior, it's then being reinforced from the spiritual world.
And it's hard.
It's immensely hard. And that's why, in one or two passages in Swedenborg's writings, he said, you have, with the Lord's help, you have to tear, and this is the wording, you sometimes have to tear yourself away from the grip that it's not just a physical, but it's an inner compulsion which is being fed. So that with the alcohol, I don't see it. I'm not an alcoholic, my girl, and so they're wanting you to believe that, that in denial and justification. I need it. Now that's all coming from spiritual world.
Wow.
It's combining with the environment and the practice and habits you've got, but the habits are being reinforced.
Yes.
And I think we've got a lot of broken families now too. So I think when you've got a good family unit that's supporting you,
Oh yeah.
because to get into counsellors now, there's like months wait.
Yeah.
So you go to one counsellor, you need it regular.
Yeah.
So if you've got a tight family that's really there, nurturing you, it's good. But I mean, we were in Warwick a while ago, and this guy was waiting for a guy that had been thrown out of jail, and he was sleeping in the rotunda, and he was trying to help him, because they're thrown out,
Yeah.
and there's lots of restrictions from people that come out of jail.
Yeah.
Lots of restrictions
Right.
where they're almost forced to go back in.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's all set up.
Just really sad.
Yeah.
In fact, they sometimes find it so hard outside
They just want to go back in.
they do things to get back in.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, it's pretty
Which
sad.
speaks to what we're hearing here.
Yeah.
When you read around Swedenborg enough, what you learn that he was shown is that yes, we know there's heaven, we know there's hell, but there's this massive realm in between which he calls the spiritual world. And normal traditional Christianity doesn't really have an answer for it. I mean, you get something in Catholicism like purgatory, but purgatory has rather negative connotations. This is the airport where everyone lands, or like we said, some people just go straight to God, but this is the airport where everybody lands. And what happens in an airport on Earth? There's a sorting out process. Have you got your visa? Where are you going to be staying? Where's your luggage? There's a sorting out process. And this is what these three stages that we all go through when we die is there's a sorting out. And I think this is why it's so important. The Bible teaches, in Book of James, it says, you say you have faith, where are your works of faith? And then you get Christians saying, you're trying to work your way to heaven. No. No, I'm letting the work of Christ have its work in me. And if you don't have that, well, where's your visa? That is, we're trying to let that, what were you saying before? We're trying to let that life of God in.
Yes, opening up the heart, because that's what God says, guard your heart, doesn't it? Because the heart gets hardened and then things can't get in and, except not nice things.
No, and sin, and it's again another one of those triggering words, but sin has a life of its own.
Yeah.
It has a nature, it draws us, it has a life of its own, and you've got to change lanes. And so coming to the Lord is coming into the spirit of life versus the spirit of death, which both have a pull. Heaven and hell are forces that balance everything. But this spiritual world, when you read deeply, you find out God is so merciful and so beautiful. All of this physical world is mirrored in the spiritual world. So people cross over and they sometimes don't even know they've died. But I like the way you emphasized, Ian, even though it feels like the spiritual world is mirrored here and we cross over and we'll continue our lives for a time as we sort things out. I like the way you said, what's really going on underneath the surface of the water, the current, is when someone's drawn to alcohol, there's an influx from the spiritual world. That society, that community where they all make alcohol their refuge, is trying to flow in and find its home inside that person.
When I was a child, my father was a seaman, so he went to sea at 15. So he used to like to tell dirty jokes. And I, as a child, learnt to laugh at them and find them funny.
Is your dad?
Yes, and you follow in the footsteps. And then when I got older, and it was pointed out to me by Shaw, that's not funny. And there's an inherent sort of evil in it, in a way.
Wow.
And I had no clue. And so from then on, I was directed to not laugh at dirty jokes. But they were funny to me. Someone would tell a joke, and this is heaven coming in that community and keeping me entertained to it. And I would keep saying, no, this is not good. And then eventually, as I kept resisting it, I could see that's not good. That humor is coming from a very negative place. And then eventually I can hear a dirty joke, appreciate it might be funny to some, and go, but that's bad. And so it was
a little bit of grief, even a little bit of grief into hearing.
Even a punt can be bad, isn't it? People can make a punt, and you go,
yes.
That's weird.
And you can see, even though they're saying it as a joke, it's derivative of someone,
that's right,
or something.
And someone else is collecting that as a little board on the outside.
Yes. So I can see that now, but in the past, I just would have laughed because it would have created a bit of levity in a situation. If you don't think more deeply into it, it's actually hurting the spirit. And I was brought up in a family that didn't.
And it's
revere
causing
the
that
spirit.
moral injury in oneself, and that's where
Yes.
people don't realise some of the things that they go against or go toward. They cause that moral injury inside of themselves,
And it's attracting in those elements from.
And there's a taste to it. There's a taste to it. Like a dog that tastes blood and it won't stop now. There's a taste to it, and I just love what you're saying there, because you resisted until you developed a heavenly taste.
Yes. Yeah.
And so what was now that was repulsive, and you developed a taste for what is sweet and wholesome and good and pure and virtuous. But we have to. This is, I think, the missing part of Christianity that's happened out there over the centuries, where it just say the prayer and you're doing all right. You've said the prayer, you're in. But then you go, but why am I still struggling with myself? And so there isn't given that understanding that the old man still exists with the new man, and you've got to give.
You're really easy to fall back.
You've got to give. You give it taste, and it will take over again. So you've got to resist evil and give taste to the new man, until the new man is fully established and there is no taste anymore for those old things. And I'm getting a bit carried away here because I've got to do a sermon on taste. Have salt in yourselves. That's the sermon that's coming up in a few weeks. So I'm thinking a lot about taste and see that the Lord is good. And you are the salt of the earth. Meaning, if people can't taste heavenly delights from us, there ain't anyone else.
On the taste thing, check yourself if you want to stop eating chocolate. If you've been a bit of a chocolate.
Chocoholic.
Guilty. I have my moments.
Your whole mind.
My splurges.
Give it up. Of course, it's going to be painful.
Yes.
Until you think, I didn't need that after all. What happens?
Really? These two here have obviously got a problem.
Not a problem. Not a problem. But I like it. I like it. I really like it. But I do appreciate what Ian.
On his face.
It's an analogy. It's only an analogy.
No, but Ian, what you're saying is profound. It's the self-talk. It makes a difference when you say, "I don't really need it." And you talk to yourself that way, then you go a few times and you go, well, I didn't.
It's just a simple. Another thing I wanted to say is, if you, I talk about it myself, but if you are finding some sort of delight, she spoke to me shockingly, and I'm, this kind of stuff.
Dish it back.
Now that delight which you're feeling this is where evil spirits get in, because your delight is their delight. In fact, your delight magnifies, because they're looking for somebody to come on board to the delight that they're feeding.
But see, sometimes I think people can go too extreme. Like, so you learned something that was, that you
Seemed
know,
acceptable.
Yeah.
Funny.
But see, for some people, they may then be so judgmental, like
Other people.
of other people. So people
Make
go
sure at
to
my
the
next in
extreme.
2 weeks' time. Make sure you have that sermon because
Yes.
the Lord addresses that. You're absolutely
because
right.
because Siobhan probably came gently when she pointed that out to you, but then sometimes people might resolve that, but then they're not necessarily gentle in their way that they then point it out to other people, and so yeah.
And I think if I can say it gently enough, we're all mature here, and we're all called by the Lord to be lights, to be leaders. Not everybody is your sheep, and we can struggle. Not pointing a finger at anyone here, but we can struggle with. I saw that offence. I'm going to poke. No, it's not necessarily. If someone loves you and trusts you, they'll take that counsel, and you could try offering. Again, throw a little salt out there and see if they like it. But again, the shepherd always leads the sheep. He doesn't come behind and beat them.
It was sort of a bit like
Yes.
COVID time, you know.
Yes.
COVID time was exactly that time, and I said to Jeff, right, if you come thrashing it down somebody else's neck that's going to have the jab, I'm going to take $1,000 out of your account. And he wouldn't learn, so I took $1,000 out of his account. He soon learned.
But do you think you're trying to help people?
Yeah.
But there's
I didn't
ways.
spend it though, so he was lucky.
Yeah, I just think there's lots of times where the Lord will say, hands off.
Thank you.
Hands off.
Hands off because, thank you, Sharon, for bringing it up. Because if I pull at a thread and I'm not supposed to, everything will unravel.
Yes.
Now, why is the Lord in his wisdom not pulling at everyone's threads?
Yeah.
There's a timing. And the again, Swinburne will tell us in the writings, like it's probably in Divine Providence, or Divine Love and Wisdom, where he'll say that, the Lord is waiting on us. He's waiting on that intention, and he will gradually remove the evils from us, because if he ripped them all out, we'd have nothing. There'd be nothing left. No, and so it's easier to steer a moving object than a car that's at least going somewhere. You can steer it around, but if it's sitting there and the engine sees,
We need longer lives.
there you go.
We'll get
How
lots
long
more
it took
work
me
on
is-
the other side as well.
How long it took me till my 20s to learn about not laughing at dirty jokes. That's a long time. But it's in me now. It's like part of my core, and I think that's not funny, but it took
The
time.
good seed has been planted.
The blessing, some people, Guang will tell you, he says, oh, I didn't get brought up in the church. I wish I had. But then I look at Guang's passion, because he knows what it's like to not have it.
In freedom.
And then to have it. So, there's something developed in you because you'd gone part way down one road and went, oh, wow. Where if you've been brought up with the perfect parents who never said a thing wrong, you can sit in judgment and not even realise what a struggle it
You
might.
become quite naive.
Naive and judgmental.
Naive is really bad, because then you really can't work out. It takes a lot to work it out. I was a bit naive, I must admit myself, growing up, because I grew up with my grandparents, very protected. Then you go out into the world and go, hang on a minute, what's going on here? Like,
Exactly.
they were drinking out of a tally, and they said the fluffy duck word, and it was like, oh, wow, this was total criminal, and then you realise that that's part of the world that we've got to all learn to live in.
Yes.
So if you overprotect your children, I think you're doing them an injustice as well.
Yes. It's a balance, it's difficult.
Tricky.
It's tricky, it is. So here's a pitch. So if you want to know how the Lord resolved that one, I'll do my best in 2 weeks' time when we do that sermon on have salt in yourselves, and see how and it's marvelous. What the Lord comes out with is marvelous, how to actually resolve this issue of choosing the right path, not being too judgmental, as you say, having mercy on others. Don't be, what was it you were saying, Sharon? Naive. Yeah, all of those things come together in the Lord's solution. So I'll leave it at that. We'll you want to read some more, Sharon? Any other thoughts before we move on? Keep going.
So our third state after death is a state of instruction for people who are entering heaven. Our third state after death, or the third state of our spirits, is one of instruction. This state is for people who are entering heaven and becoming angels, but not for people who are entering hell, because these later cannot be taught. As a result, their second state is also their third, and ends in their turning straight towards their own love and therefore toward the hellish community that is engaged in a love like their own. Once this has happened, their intentions and thinking flow from that love. And since it is a hellish love, they intend only what is evil and think only what is false. These are their pleasures. Further, this results in their rejecting everything that is good and true that had served their love as a means.
Does that make sense to everyone?
So they would use good and true to get favour or appealing perceptions from other people, but it wasn't genuine.
That's right.
Yeah.
You could have
They could use it.
you could have a love of money and go,
Yeah.
where can I get the best pay? Oh, I could be a politician. They get paid pretty good. And so I must do good to the people.
Yes.
But the real intention was the pay or the money. The money was what really attracted you. Well, you see, some people are attracted to politics because they really want to do good.
Help people.
So there is appearance of good in that. You know, you're out there as a politician doing good, but your intention was always just to, you know, to gain the world's, you know, goods.
Yeah.
So that has to take over, and that pretense has to drop away in the spiritual world. You can't put in that pretense anymore. But this, you know, I think this is very liberating because, you know, you don't normally get taught these things in mainstream Christianity, that the Lord is letting the person go into their love.
Yeah.
And they don't want to let that hellish love go. And the best example I can think of on earth is some people love living at King's Cross and the Bronx and all these. They love the gangster life. They love being, you know, they love that world. It just horrifies me. Give me a mountain.
But do you
I
think-
just find it so hard to get to that point where someone could actually love doing these things. I can understand when somebody doesn't see or think they love it, you know what I mean? But to actually really, like,
Evil, yeah, to love evil. Yeah.
It comes down to
Yes,
taste, Sharon. It comes down to taste. What is a soul? A soul is desire. God made
Yeah.
us to desire. We're love, we're desire.
yeah,
But when you can't be nourished by good love and wholesome love,
yeah.
all that is left is the delights of evil. And
Yes,
so
which
you
is
look at a
then like the
sociopath.
fear, the lies, the falsity, all
Getting
of
rid
that sort of.
people.
Well, the murderous
criminal
sociopath.
gangs are not
Yes, I know.
the
Like you just.
retribution, the fact that they cannot be brought to see outside any longer that world they've come to occupy.
Yeah.
That's how I come to terms with it when I think about the
Yeah, they just.
shootings, the retributive shootings that go on, and then
Yeah.
they carry it on into prison. You know,
Yeah.
they're just, and yet they're exposed to what is right and wrong because they've been through the court system. But still, they don't give it up.
But I think if you think about a dog,
Yeah.
right? Think about a dog.
Yep.
Yeah.
They're brought up by
Master.
a master, and that master, you know, you've got our little Izzy, she's just quiet and whatever, and then you've got other people that bring them up with violence and whatever. So I think, you know, we have got people out there that have grown up in
horrific
families.
places.
Yes. So
Yeah.
their brain is wired
Yeah.
completely
They
that
can't.
way. And you know, with years and years of that happening, you know, some people can't be unwired. I think
It's very difficult, and yet I've seen some of people who've come through that trauma and make the most incredible angelic people.
Yes.
And you get people who've been brought up in the lap of luxury and they become demonic.
Yes.
But, you know, like you get dogs from the
Yes.
rescue, and most
Yeah.
of the dogs I see come from the rescue, they're just trouble.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
hard
the
to
only-
retrain them.
It's a good analogy, but the only difference there is that we have that higher cognitive functioning. So we are animal, but we also have the ability to reason and reflect, and the dog can't. So
Do you
once
think
you've
the
trained,
criminals down in Melbourne are more like the dog, that they're wired that way?
that you can damage the brain and stop that higher cognitive functioning. And then you get a sociopath, right? When they examine the brain, they find that there are parts of the brain that just do not fire. And those parts are the ones that actually put me in your shoes or your shoes. Is that sorry?
Empathy.
Yeah, they put themselves, that part of the brain that puts us in the other person's shoes doesn't fire in them. Now, also when they've analysed the brains of the Ted Bundys, They
Of the what?
found the Ted
Ted
Bundy.
Bundy's serial
Bundy.
killers.
Mm.
Serial.
Oh, no, I don't know. Don't know.
What?
That's all right. Conversation for you and Jewel later. The people that are, how do they do those evil things that they do? You know, we can't understand it, can
Yeah,
we?
because there's still the part that's not even connected to the brain, like the mind and the intellect, which
Right.
they cannot find any part of that
Right.
as because the brain of us is like the physical, materialistic type part.
Yes.
However, the spirit,
The
and where
spirit.
it's written in the Bible, it says the spirit is willing. So
Yes.
that which is the mind, like a lot of people will go, and Swedenborg says the mindset,
Yeah.
So we've got a brain set over here, which is a different thing with a lot of those that fire together, wire together. These two have to work together, some level, a bit like Swedenborg goes with the spirit and the mind.
They're distinct, but they make one.
Exactly.
Yes,
So
that's
you
it.
can put all lots of parts of things as to what the brain can and can't do, but it still is a material thing. But over here, there's still the mind and the intellect, the part for us to reason.
Yep.
That is not
So
associated with the brain.
Perhaps we should go there for a moment. Like,
Yeah.
it's a young man, right?
Yeah.
Maybe he's a teenager,
Mhm.
and he's having these terrible, dark, intrusive thoughts.
Yeah.
Right? And so his brain's not fully developed.
Mm.
And like Ian says, it's actually all coming from the spiritual world.
Mm.
His dark, intrusive thoughts. So then he acts on them.
Mhm.
Maybe he takes a neighbor's dog or cat and does something terrible. Suddenly, the brain lights up in ways it never has before,
Yeah.
because the brain doesn't know.
No,
It's just a machine.
exactly.
But what that young person experiences now, an opening of a pathway that they're going to battle with for the rest of their life. And when someone is a serial killer, they've discovered how absolutely obsessed their world is between these acts of killing.
It gets back to the dog
It's the
again.
obsession. It's
So
the
if you go to
obsession.
the farms, right, and the dogs go there and they, what they call blood, the
Yep.
sheep or the cattle,
Pit fighting.
you have to kill them
Yes.
because they're blooded,
Yep.
right? And they'll go back over and over again. It's known in the farming industry
Yes.
that you cannot de-blood them. Once they've got into that fury of the blood and the killing and all that, they're going to come back and do it over and over again. So,
And I would say 100% you're absolutely right. But when you come to the human animal, there is still one hope, and that is the Lord Jesus Christ.
what has they got autism though?
Grace and mercy.
Well, I think within that autism, you'll have known people who are autistic, but they're still
But
very
then
gentle and
there's-
kind,
But then there's the other autism
that are cruel and wicked.
that are just, well, they don't have that, they've got the other part of the cognitive part of the
Yeah, and I
brain.
see that the Lord is not going to judge, I don't think, on
Thank you.
people's brains.
Thank you.
That's
Yes.
what I'm saying.
Thank
is to
you.
say,
Hereditary evils. That's exactly what we're
Yeah,
talking
and
about.
he will. Somewhere I think that he will work on that so
Totally.
that people can, because there's like studies out there where those people have had like 3 parts of their brains missing, and they
Yes.
would have went, oh well, you might as well just let that person die. That person goes on to live a normal, healthy life.
After
So then-
Some of
rewiring.
them have a very high
Well,
IQ as well.
Absolutely,
And
absolutely.
once they actually started doing the MRIs,
Yeah,
it just blew all their theories out the water.
The
because
plastic brain.
these
Yeah.
are people who had high IQ but only had a third of their brain,
yeah.
and parts of the brain that normally work doing certain things in them was completely different.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
they're going, oh well, that's all their theories out the thing. So
And this is the
must
thing
be a
missing in the
fluid.
theory, is that the scientists will come that we are an animal.
Mm.
And that's okay to the animal side of us, and we can get all the data for the animal side.
Mm.
But when you want to understand the spiritual side,
Mm.
I remember, I've seen enough miracles, they still happen, but I can remember one guy telling me that this woman was blind and got healed, and yet her eyes were still blind. So she was clearly seeing with her spiritual eyes. She could see, she could now see, but the eyes were still blind.
Yeah.
Wow.
I know. So there are healings, and then there are healings. And ultimately, when you leave the spiritual side of us off the equation, you're never going to solve the puzzle. And I think that as long as we hold the two carefully, I think we'll get a much better view of. And Swinburne's saying here, there's the animal side of us. We must contend with that.
Yes.
Your spirit.
Yeah,
If you keep being an animal and don't use a spirit to overcome,
Because I always say to clients, it's like, again, if you get a wild cat out in the animal or things that have happened to people, like, so I see a lot of trauma clients, and they're very defensive because they've had to be defensive.
Right.
They don't know anything else. They
don't feel
haven't
safe.
learned other skills. They don't know anything about that. I've got a client of mine that just says all this that he's ever been told is that he's the demonic devil. That's what he's
Yes.
been told. He
Yeah.
believes that
Yeah, that's
in
right.
himself.
That's
And I
what I'm
said,
saying.
well, you know what? I don't believe that. He's got parts of himself where he's got a kind, pure heart. He does paintings where he draws little hearts. Then on the other side of him, he can flick over and go, yeah, I want blood when I get out of here. I'm going to.
That's
Do
the
this.
old man rising up.
That's
That's
exactly
the old
right.
man rising up.
But again, he's got that battle going on inside of himself.
we
And if
all
this
have.
other part of him's not nurtured or someone doesn't see that inside of himself, you know,
And the world is complicated.
absolutely.
So are people,
I'm 75 years old and
Very
I'm
much
finding
so.
it complicated.
Yes.
I think I've had my license for a while.
Remote, would you?
the points you're making.
Yeah.
Some people are going to remain a child all their life.
Yes. Yeah.
We've got a severely autistic girl. She's about 24, associated with this church.
Yeah.
She's out of control of her if she's not restrained.
Mm.
Also, but very intelligent.
Mm. Mm.
She'll be a child until she dies.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so, you know, when you get back to the gangsters, if they've been conditioned to such an extent that they haven't been exposed to the choice, they'll be a child when they wake up in the spiritual
Absolutely.
world.
See,
Yeah.
and I don't believe in clairvoyance, right? But when my grandson died 4 and a bit years ago, my daughter, after a year, went to a clairvoyant. And the clairvoyant said, I can't tell you anything about your son yet because he's still in waiting.
Mm.
And I thought, oh, and then, you know, we'd been talking about it, and I thought, aha. So, I mean, still don't believe in clairvoyance, but I was like, there's something in that. She said he's waiting for the passing to work out where he's going. So I thought, oh, well, maybe there's
Very
something
interesting.
in the clairvoyance that do have something.
Clairvoyance, just listening to angels or spirits. You know, they're there.
I think what's happening is there's an industry out
Well,
there.
that's
There's an industry, and it's often imitating the real.
Yes, yes.
If you're a spirit in a body, you'll have times where you'll hear angels. It's going to happen to all of us. It all happens to all of us. And some people are just born open in that way.
Yeah.
And then the industry says, oh, clairvoyant.
Yes.
And so you get people out there that are,
Charlatans.
well, they're very good at reading and they can tell you everything about yourself. And how do they do it? It's all fake.
Yeah.
And then there are genuine people that just hear things.
Yeah.
And that's probably what happened with you, Jewel, is you touched a real genuine person who was spiritually awake and was,
It wasn't me, it was my
oh,
daughter.
it was your friend. Yeah,
It
right.
was my daughter.
Your daughter, yeah, your daughter.
So she hasn't been back, of course, but, you know, she said, Mum, is that real? And I'm like, well, we've been touching this at church, so obviously it's
sweet
something,
thoughts,
you know,
yes.
they're just working it out. So,
And this is where this is such an important picture. The
Yeah.
spiritual world helps us understand all of this and stop, you know, we stop writing off things that maybe we shouldn't, but we also know when to say no. There is witchcraft. There is, you know, witchcraft is taking the authority and power of how the world works and just using self and making it work for you. That's all witchcraft is, and that's why the Bible forbids it. Yeah, energy vampires and all that sort of stuff. But when we understand that there's a spiritual world, and people could spend up to 30 years or more there. So someone like the person you're referring to, I know of, you know, there isn't an answer in mainstream thinking right now for Christianity. This person's either got to have said the prayer and they're in or they're out, where it's like, no, she will enter the spiritual world as the child and will grow from there and be given all the chances to become everything she's meant to become. I mean, that makes much more sense,
Absolutely.
you know, in terms of
All just
Christianity.
means, doesn't it? So you sort of get things when they just fit, and you think, yeah, well, that makes, you know,
Why wouldn't God do that? It makes
exactly,
sense.
exactly.
well, he's the biggest
Makes
judge,
perfect
isn't he?
sense.
That we've got
Absolutely.
our judges down here on earth that I think lots of them they get it completely wrong.
Yeah.
Right. But, you know, God is there
Yeah.
in the Holy Spirit. He knows exactly what went on when the husband and wife were fighting, and maybe the husband did push her, and maybe she hit her head on the cupboard. And yes, it was murder, but he didn't intentionally do that. It
No,
was
all of
something,
that.
and I think that happens quite a bit. I mean, we all married. We all have our moments,
Yes.
right? And, and so sometimes it can go wrong.
Only God has the power to look into the heart of everyone and
Yes.
work out the actions and the intentions and
Yeah.
weigh it all up and say, this is who you are.
Yeah.
Go here or go there. You
Yeah.
know, and I think that's exactly, that's how it works. So let's leave it there. Oh,
Pastor,
Can
I
I say
think,
one thing?
go.
I saw something the other day on YouTube, and it was people's phones, and they were flashing, and everyone had a phone, and they're all flashing. Well, apparently it was a CTV, and it was infrared, and our phones do that all the time. They're flashing infrared that we don't see.
Our eyes can't detect
And
it.
then someone was saying the other day that our visible light that we see is a very, very small percentage of the full spectrum. So, there could be a lot more out there that we don't see. Could be right in front of us, but we can't see it because it's at a different wavelength. So, yeah, heaven could be all around us.
In fact, I think it is. I think you're absolutely right. I think it is.
Yeah.
first I have a different thinking on this, on the discussion.
Yes.
Because what we as Christians think the spiritual world is somewhere up above and the heaven. But the doctrine of the real Christianity is a new birth.
Yeah.
What is that new birth means is from a physical basis, the animalistic nature, when it is transformed into a spiritual nature,
Yes.
we call it a new birth.
Uh-huh.
So it is not something other than the spirituality. It is part and parcel, physical and spiritual. The the physicality is what we are as a physical human being, which is very close to the animalistic nature.
Yeah.
But then we transcend from this physical nature to spiritual nature. It's called a new birth.
Yeah.
When it is a new birth, the spiritual life enters into our life, and we become more spiritual than physical. So our physical tendencies disappear, are slowly disappearing, but the spiritual nature takes over.
Yes.
If the spiritual nature takes over, we become closer to the divine. So we are not physical. So all the physical pleasures, the taste and attachment, everything starts disappearing or declining. And we see this, when we see the spiritual world, not there, here now.
Yep.
Right? That spiritual nature is love, compassion, and all those beautiful spiritual qualities which will decorate our life. So we become very different compared to the physical people. The physical people will fight, they will all frictions and then doing all types of physical. But the spiritual people will be calm, quiet, lovable, compassionate. You can distinctly see the spiritual person, not up in the heaven, right here. So this world itself is that's what Swedenborg continues says, not there here. Right? If you do good, you are already in heaven.
Exactly.
If you are not doing good, you are
Exactly.
already in hell. So there is no difference between one to the other.
It's pretty
In a
simple.
way.
Yeah.
Pretty
It's
simple.
the way we live.
Dr. Noel, you said you had a different view, but I think we're all agreeing with you.
Same thing.
Yeah, I would probably just differ a little bit in that rather than saying the physical disappears, it changes. It becomes the servant of the spiritual.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, like the wind is a spirit and a sail serves the boat, when things work together, the sail fills with the wind and they become one. So when a person's spiritual, the physical's still there, but it's become spiritual because it's now love has taken over rather than just the bodily urge or whatever, the urge to survive. The animalistic urge to survive is now subordinate to love. So what is that? I mean, I think we're on exactly the same wavelength.
Like they said about Plato, Plato was a vegetarian.
Plato.
No,
yes.
So he was not a non-vegetarian. So when you are a vegetarian,
Yes.
your natural spirit becomes spiritual, not physical.
Right.
Your animal tendency is not really stimulated by what you eat and what you do. So people have practiced certain life like Gandhiji, another person who practiced this type of a spiritual life. So it is punishing in a way the physical nature and moving into a spiritual nature. So you become an immortal spirit. So this is possible by following certain good examples of the leaders, the role models,
who have already lived a life like that. Jesus is our example. He lived a life, absolutely no animalistic nature. So spiritual, here is an example. So when we follow all the traits that he has done, we know yes, forgiveness is a spiritual. But how do we forgive? Do we forgive here? When somebody is fighting against us, we fight against each other. So these are all certain principles already available in the system. We need to only take that cue and then live a good life here.
Very good. Thank you, Dr. Dalton. Any final thoughts?
Well, I was thinking, you know, the Holy Spirit is sort of like having a police car on your tail all the time. It's sort of it's getting you to, you know, have your conscience. You're not going to speed past the police car, are you? You know, you're not going to park in a non-parking zone with the police cars right beside you. So I think for me, the Holy Spirit's there. You know, He's around you all the time. He's your conscience as well. You know, is that the right choice for me? Should I be helping that person?
Yes.
You know, and I think, you know, it's sort of keeping us on
And then
track.
eventually you're not even noticing whether there's a
That's
police car or
right.
not. You're
It's
just
second
doing
nature.
speeding.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Beautiful. That's good. Any other? We should close. That was excellent session, guys. It was good. We only got through a couple of paragraphs, but it was good.
We got through them deeply.
Got through them deeply. Yeah. Let's pray. Lord, we're so thankful for this opportunity, this circle to come together and to hear your inspiration in each one. May we go away and think upon the conversations and just be inspired, encouraged to do more good and to overcome our lower nature when it tries to come up. That you are showing us the way, Lord. Love is the way. Amen. Well, time of fellowship. I think Ian might have to go because you've got to get to a meeting.
Wonderful.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
What?
Oh, recording.
Foster, this Thursday is our meeting.
Well,
I think it is. Yeah, this Thursday.
just
Yeah.
go back and catch up.
You're all geared up.
Yes, well, not quite, but I will be.
Right. You're putting the book back, are you?
Yes, yes. Make some
Throw them in
callback.
there. Yeah.
I don't normally.
Is that your
Yeah.
book, Sharon? Sorry.
No, it's not my fault. That one's going back. When I was
It's my favourite.
Two friends in Tassie. She was doing 26 rows. Okay, right. I knitted all these squares.